ready.
I know, I'm a little late to reviewing this guy, but I'm finally here for you. I got the review of the 332nd Ahsoka's Clone Trooper from the Star Wars Black Series Walmart exclusive Clone Wars range. I've got it here for you, and I'm just gonna make it kind of quick, because I've already talked about the body of this figure. It's a repaint of that Camino clone we got. And, no, I don't have the Phase 1 Trooper yet. I'll get that at some point, eventually, soonish. But yeah, this guy, he's not bad. He's not great at all. He doesn't do anything that makes me go, wow! He's another clone using that new body that I don't think really needs to exist. But it does. And it's not the worst, but anyways, let's talk about the box real quick. I love this realistic interpretation of the 332nd Clone Trooper. Note the helmet, how gorgeous that looks. And note this helmet, how it still doesn't look any good. Yeah, it's... What can you do? I still don't like the gray backing on the box, but, I mean, the rest of it I absolutely love. I really think this is the best Black Series box design. I love the artwork on the side. I love how they kind of tie in all the artworks. You know, you can kind of see a hand right there, and I think it's really cool. I think the box is nice. I think it's a nice box. Good luck finding this thing, though, because it's a Walmart exclusive, am I right? Anyways, let's get on with it. He is a a repaint, I should say, of the Camino clone. And, like I said, not a bad figure. In my Camino clone review, I made it pretty clear that I don't feel like this thing needs to exist. I still prefer the old body. I still think this thing is just slightly more functional than the old one. But it's... I don't know, man. I'm not won over. I think the legs look better on these. They don't have, like, the really spread out thighs. But even then, they fixed that after a while. I think they fixed that with, like, the Captain Rex mold, and you'll see that later. They refined the old mold perfectly with the Captain Rex elbows and the different proportions. They did not need to make this new mold, but they did, and let's roll with it. So they still both have the Tamora Morrison head underneath, and they're both glued on wonky, and they're both glued on in the same kind of odd way. You can see that part is a little lower, that part's a little lower. The visor's kind of curved down, same with this one. The helmet still doesn't look any good to me. It still doesn't look any good. It's trying to go for like the animated look, and it doesn't even do that right. I don't know, man. This is this is one of my least favorite Phase 2 helmet sculpts ever. It just doesn't speak to me at all. But it is what it is, and we're gonna roll with that. I still think he is proportionally, not the best. I think his helmet's still a little too big. He doesn't have any shoulder presence. His arms are a little... I don't know, he just looks like he'd be really thin under the armor. And yeah, I have the same problems with this proportionally as I do with like the newer Vintage Collection Phase 1 kind of Clone Trooper mold they did, especially when they gave it the Phase 2 helmet. It looked huge. But this thing, let's talk about the paint, because that's the main difference. It's not accurate. Well, it's accurate, but it's not accurate. But anyways, it's another thing where it's just a mess between realistic and animated. So let's get into it by actually comparing it with a realistic interpretation of the 501st Trooper with the, in my opinion, much superior Order 66 501st clone. I love this one. So getting on with it, the eye on the chest. In the Clone Wars, the eye... the proportions are different, and the eye right there on the chest still goes from like the bottom of the torso armor to like the chest, like this, but proportionally it's this crunched up. So they, instead of making it where it goes from the bottom to the top, they just made it crunched up. So it's like, it's accurate to the animation, but it's not accurate to the realistic proportions. So that's not good. Shoulders and arms are perfectly fine. The stripes are perfectly fine on the sides. He has the knees. Those are perfectly fine. I actually didn't know this until a little bit ago, but the realistic 501st has blue on the back. They did not have blue on the back in the Clone Wars. They did not. So that's something to note. However, in the Clone Wars, they did have the gray in that recess on the helmet. This figure totally didn't paint it. One bit. It should be there. I did look at pictures. That gray should be there on the helmet, but it is not. And that is cheap. That is neglectful, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. I still love this old helmet sculpt. It's not perfect. I think the black stripe is a little too thick, but man, that speaks to me. That is a Phase 2 Clone Trooper helmet. I love this helmet. It's not perfect, like I said, but it's really close. This one is trying to be animated in a realistic... Since when has the Black Series ever tried to have the animated look? None of the Rebels guys do. None of the other Clone Wars guys do. But they made the helmet animated on this. Just this. Not even the Phase 1 Trooper. Just the Phase 2 Trooper. I don't get it. Anyways, he does come with the same old weapons. He comes with... Oop! Knocked it out of his hand. The hard plastic... DC-15 rifle and carbine. He holds them well enough. He looks good with it. I really went over a lot of the details of the figure in general in my Camino review. But another thing I want to point out, in another mix of animated and realistic, in the animated Clone Wars show, they didn't have the straps. You couldn't see the elbow and the knee straps. But they gave him visible elbow straps, but they faked out the knee straps by painting them black. The Camino Trooper didn't do this. So it's just another weird inconsistency with trying to blend realistic and animated in this really amalgamated, odd way, when they should have just made it realistic, like all the rest of the Black Series line is. Another thing, too, the new mold is slightly taller. I don't exactly know why, but it is. Just slightly. It's not that noticeable. But I gotta say, these guys, they do look cool together. They don't look perfect together one bit, because they decided to change it up. But yeah, they do look cool together. And, you know, I already went over the differences in the mold. I really prefer how the old one works in almost every regard. You can see what I was talking about with the legs, though. I feel like the new one has a bit more of a slender proportion to that. Looks a little better. But then... let's bring in Captain Rex, who basically fixed the leg problem. You can see Rex has nicer legs. Fixed the elbow problem, where he can actually bend his elbows really nice and deep. Deeper than the new one, might I add. And Rex just, like, he has the realistic look. He's fully realistic. He has, like, the realistic interpretation of his helmet. He just looks great. He looks great in general. And what can I say? I just don't know what they're thinking doing like this weird mix of animated and realistic. Now, granted, this trio looks awesome together, right? These are the Mandalore boys, and I love it. I hope we get a Jesse at some point. That would be awesome. I'd love to get a Jet Trooper, too. Get out of there, Camino weapon. I'm not even talking about you today. But yeah, that's pretty much it. In general, my review of the 332nd Ahsoka's Clone Trooper is he's alright. He definitely blends realistic and animated in this really weird way where he's not accurate to either of them. But at the end of the day, he is what he is, and just like the Camino clone, he's still a fun figure. He's still fun to pose. He's still enjoyable. He still doesn't look bad. He just doesn't know what he wants to be. And that's really odd. Because he has animated helmet, animated like the eye on the chest, the lowercase I, animated back, animated knees, but he has realistic elbows. He has realistic sculpt on the body, realistic weapons. What are they doing? I don't know why they do that. I think I've pretty much said all I need to say. Here is the Black Series 6-inch Ahsoka's Clone Trooper. A good addition to your collection if you're a clone fan. Good luck getting it because it is a Walmart exclusive. Because I wouldn't have been able to get this. I did put in a pre-order, but they could have even canceled that. I don't know. I wouldn't have been able to get this without my brother. Like, I did the unboxing video. He was able to hook me up with it. I'm very grateful and fortunate to him. Thank you so much. Alrighty, guys. There we go. There's my review. Have a good day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.